Hello everyone, Paul here from Dusty Workbench Art. As you can see, I made this barn scene. I think it came out pretty good. It's one of the largest pieces I've made so far. And today's video is really to try and answer questions that people have had on YouTube and Reddit and other social media sites. And I'm hoping that this video will help to answer those questions. And to answer those questions, I'm going to list and show you the 8 steps to making these pieces. Number 1 is design. Number 2 is edit in LightBurn. Number 3 is laser cutting and engraving. Number 4 is transferring to layout board. Number 5, staining. Number 6, gluing. Number 7, clear coat. And number 8, which I won't cover in this video, is making the frame. That'll have to be in a later video. Let's get to it. So one of the tools that I tend to go to at the beginning is using Canva, not necessarily for its editing features, but mostly for the royalty-free images that it has on there. I mentioned in other videos that in the future I do plan to take my own photos or even start sketching myself. But for now, as I'm still learning, I'm just using some royalty images that I can easily get access to using Canva. I got the paid version. You can use the free version. You just may not have as many photos to choose from. But here's some examples of some photos, and I kind of like this. This is kind of the direction I went with. And then I brought that photo into Google AI Studio. Now, here I'm already probably some time into my quest to get a final image, and you just keep prompting away until you get something that you think is the look you're wanting to go for. And here we have a couple of examples of what I thought I would like. And also the nice thing with Google AI, it also helps to make the line art that I need to throw into LightBurn. So here we go, a couple of different examples. And you can see it does a pretty good job of making that line art. So brought that all over into LightBurn, and there it's a matter of, in this case, several hours of editing to get all the points. Using the trace image feature in LightBurn, you're able to get all those pieces separated. Now, issue with using trace image, a lot of times some parts will do really well at taking the parts that you want, and then other times when you're playing around with the settings, it might be good on one but not good on the other part of the image. So that's why I usually make 2 or 3 different copies. As you can see there, I've already made a copy before, but still needed a lot of editing. The lines are incomplete, so now it's a matter of going into the node feature, playing and editing all the nodes of these parts of the image. And yeah, I won't bore you too much with this. I'll put a little bit of montage music so you can watch me go through all the steps to move all these nodes. All right, with the file ready, it's time to head out to our nearest wood supplier and pick up some wood. Here I'm using the maple veneer 1/4 inch and some revolution board for the backing, but the maple is for the actual image. But before I start, I just want to make sure I do a good cleaning of the laser, because the last time I did a project, it didn't cut through all the way, and it caused a lot of headaches and a lot of frustration. And there's nothing worse than you get half of the pieces falling out and the other half not, and you're struggling to get all those little pieces out of the cut plywood. So just making sure, taking the extra step, the extra 10 minutes to clean off everything, and hopefully it goes through without a problem.
Now with that all cleaned up, it's time to do some adjustments, height adjustments, just to get it to the perfect cutting height from the plywood. And I made my own little grill screen to do cuttings, that way it's easier for me to pull it out and put it on the table, transfer all the pieces, especially when you have more than one. I have 3 panels to make because it's too big for the laser to try and cut it all in one panel. So seeing that I have to make 3 panels, it just helps to have this one that I can easily remove without taking out the main one. If I have to cut other stuff, I can still use the main one in the meantime. So this really just helps out to do that. And of course, it takes about an hour to an hour and a half, I think, for each panel. Because one of the reasons being is instead of just cutting one line to get the piece out, you have to cut 2 lines because you have that gap between each of the pieces.
This is what the back of that plywood looks like. You can see it's like all this dark wood. Got some knots too, and that's usually causes issues with cutting. So this kind of sucks. Plywood got caught into the laser and it moved. I tried to realign it because I was here when it happened. But yeah, it's gonna, and of course, it's just kind of going all over the place. So I still have to do the final cuts. It's gonna just mess up everything. It's just not right on where it needs to be, and then the other cuts won't be. And then these are all gonna be messed up because it didn't do the final cuts yet. Let's see if I can get it out of there. And I'll just start all over.
So I'm just going to try and save some of the pieces just as a backup in case I happen to need them. But pretty much it's going to all end up as scrap in this box here. Because, yeah, just to try and figure out and salvage which ones are good or not. It's just too much trouble. So I kind of left it. I started this project before the holidays, and then that one got messed up. I just left it. So I just made sure I clamped down the wood. So that it stays nice and flat. I clamped it down for a couple of weeks, and this time I'm also going to make sure that I clamp the wood in. I think that would have been helpful also because this wood tends to warp when it starts getting cut, and that's what happened I think the last time. So now it's all nicely secured, and we'll give this a go one more time, and it actually worked, no problems this time. I think it also helped that I clamped it all down on the table. It kept it nice and made it all nice and flat compared to the original piece was kind of curvy. So now it's time to go through the process of taking these all off. But first I need a backing so that I know where to put all the pieces, because just to throw them in a box or something like that would be a nightmare to try and figure out which piece goes where. So that's where I just use either cheap plywood, or in this case I had an old cardboard box that I can use. So I'm just using that as the sort of workplace or workspace panel that I'm going to place all those pieces onto. And you'll see what I mean in a moment. So now I have a nice line art piece essentially, and it makes it easy for transferring from that homemade grill onto this piece of cardboard. Again, having all the pieces in place. And once that's all done, you'll see that I can now move on to the next panel because my grill will be emptied. And we just repeat that a couple times because there's a total of 3 panels. But, oh, I forgot. Before I move on to cutting the next piece, I actually engraved or did the line art on the backing as well, just because I had it already set up in LightBurn. I'm able to do it all at once. And so that's the backing for that panel. And now I'm going to be cutting the pieces for the next panel using, again, the maple veneer plywood. Just making some final edits in LightBurn before I start cutting, making sure I have all the settings right. Of course, I have to make it landscape to orientate the same as in the laser. And there we go. Just gonna keep repeating this a couple times. So transfer that, make the cardboard, transfer it over, make the backing, and then do the same thing for the third panel. And of course I needed some room on my workspace, so I just placed that first panel out of the way in a nice safe place. I mean, what could go wrong with bouncing it on a couple of, I don't know, boxes and stuff on top of the laser, right? Now I don't want to see lines going through my image like in this photo here, so I had to make some new pieces so that it will cross over those lines and you won't even know they exist once I have all the panels together. Now with all the pieces cut now and placed side by side, you can see all the three panels are together, and it's time to stain. And I decided to start with the fence and the barn because they're kind of similar colors, so I had all the stains out that I needed for that. And here's just a little demonstration of the process. I tend to use a number of different stain shades, and all even just on one piece it might have 2, 3, 4, 5 different shades, different depending on the type of or size of piece and the type of piece that it is. And essentially I keep repeating that for every piece, and that's why I like having the workspace on the cardboard, so I can actually see the image as I'm progressing to ensure that all the colors are coming out, you know, or at least coming out somewhat the way I like it to. For the roof, I did the same thing, different colors. This time I'm using the resin pigment instead of the stain, and then I sanded it off a little bit just to give it a sort of more rustic look. I love this stage of staining because you just start seeing the whole thing start coming together. It really is fun to see. And so yeah, I'll just let it run and play a little montage music behind, and I hope you enjoy it too. Now for the grass, I was having some questions of how I should do it. I should say the ground or grass. And I thought, well, maybe I can keep it into big pieces and just stain it and try to make it look like grass, but it really didn't turn out, so I decided to cut those pieces up, and it meant I had to do some more editing in LightBurn and then try to set up those pieces in the laser well enough so that I can cut them all into little pieces like this here. So I had to repeat that for all those little pieces, edit and put it in. Also, I had to recut some of the pieces on the top layer there. As you can see, I have a line going right through it, and I definitely did not want to see that. So that meant I had to cut some extra pieces for that also, so that they end up being hidden like this here, and you don't see that that line for the three panels. Now that everything was cut and stained, it was time to get the backing ready, and also had to make some room in the shop so that I could have these two large panels side by side. So I'm gluing the three backing panels together here, and it's time to glue it up. Now this also is one of my, I think this is my favorite of all stages, because one, it doesn't take as long and not as much thinking. I can just turn the radio on and just go at it, and it's just a matter of following the design on the backing. You can't really see it in the camera, but it is engraved, so I just have to add glue and glue it on. It still took me a full day to do that whole panel. It doesn't look like it in this video, but it was a full day's work. Once the glue has set, it is time to put on some clear coating. And of course my spray booth is too small for this piece, but I did manage to jimmy rig something so that I can actually get most of it in there. At least most of the spray should get sucked up into my exhaust hood. Just jerry rigged it with some pails and garbage pails and whatever I can find close by. And we just give it about 3 to 4 coats of this gloss clear coat. Of course, taking out the hair and glue strings that are on there. So I hope this video helped to show how the process works, from designing, editing, cutting, gluing, and clear coating. Of course, making a frame would be the last step. And thank you for watching. Hope to see you here again. Subscribe to the channel to do so, and you take care.